Hello.
I like the little countdown. It's nice,
Yeah.
isn't it? Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Happy Sad Pod, where we discuss everything in life that is happy and sad. Mental health is kind of our main focus, but we do talk about everything and anything. So yes, welcome. Today our guest is the lovely Emily.
Hello.
Hello.
I just waved and did a peace sign. I kind of went.
I know, like the people that just listening to this will be like, silence.
Oh yeah, for anyone listening on Spotify, I just did something really awkward with my hands.
I always do that. Oh, it always makes me laugh because I always listen to the Off Menu podcast, and like they always say like, you're seeing me, so you're seeing me do this. Like it's always like a whole like, oh, I am doing something. It's not just silence. But I know what you mean. Anyway, yes. So today we've got Emily on, and she did share with us a couple of weeks ago on the Happy Sad Club Instagram page, focusing on body dysmorphia and binge eating, which is quite a big issue. I would say in the UK. But something that we've all kind of have our own struggles with. Is something I shared about body dysmorphia on the page. I was the second person to share on the page. And it's just really important, I think, to talk about. Everyone has their own experiences. Emily, which we'll discuss, kind of feels like she's come out of the body dysmorphic phase. I'm still on and off in it, and so, but also I will say, like, me and Emily obviously do know each other. We met at the gym about a year and a half ago.
Bench friends.
Yeah, it was. It was that. And I just remember meeting her because obviously you can't see it, but Emily's absolutely hench, by the way. Like she's like her and her boyfriend Sam. They honestly they had this page together and they're insane. No, you are though. Like I had friends come up from Cambridge and they saw it and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've seen them on Instagram." And I'm like,
"Oh really?
Yeah, seriously.
That's funny.
You guys get out." But yeah, no. She's hashtag muscle mummy, as we like to call you. But yes, so me and Emily met in Sweatbox in Bristol, which is an independent gym, that we both met at. And Emily was benching, and she had this block on the bar, like the. Do you remember?
Yeah.
You had the block on the bar, and I kind of was just really getting into powerlifting, and obviously I saw this go absolutely wham. And she's like benching with this block, and I was like staring at her, like, bless you. You must have thought I was some crazy like.
Well, it was because of my arch as well. I think that
it was. Yeah.
You were like, "What's that?" And also your arch.
How do you do that?
Yeah,
it was. And then just went up to her. I was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be creepy, staring at you. I'm just intrigued, And then you were telling me about what the block does and how you arch. And then I remember I followed you on Instagram, and I remember messaging you on Instagram.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
Inspired I was by, which is so true. I think you're very inspiring, even now.
Thanks.
Even now we're friends. I think what you do is amazing. And to be honest, Emily has really helped me throughout like my own body dysmorphic moments. Like we'll talk about it eventually anyway, but her advice definitely worked in times of being really low for me as well. So it's someone who would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more, I guess? Like tell us a little bit about you and any capacity you feel.
Yes, I don't really know what to say. I feel like my life literally is just like fitness, which I know sounds really cliche, and a lot of people do just say that, but it's like I'm an online coach. I've been coaching online for nearly 4 years. Did in-person sessions as well, and then like my hobby is training. And then like that's pretty much me. Like I just work and train at the minute.
Just tell us what's the name of your business, because it's not just you anymore. It was just you.
Yeah, this happened this year, so there's like been a big change this year. So I was doing my own thing, and it was called Emily CB Fitness, but it was like I was just like a personal trainer basically. So it wasn't really like a brand as such. It was, I called it Emily CB Fitness so that it was like a brand name, but it was just me self-employed doing like in-person sessions. And then I met Sam last year, and he was running an online coaching business called Different Breed Coaching. And he like one day was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to start hiring a coach soon because like I need help with the like amount of work I have to do." And I was just like, I'd work with you. And like, that was kind of it. Because then the next week he was like, did you mean that, by the way? And I was like, yeah. And then like, I don't really know how it happened, but suddenly it was like, Emily CB Fitness is now not a thing. Moved over quite a lot of my clients onto this new app, and now suddenly it's like different breed coaching is our thing, and now we're a team of 7.
Yeah, I was about to say, you've like just expanded again. Smashing it, honestly. And then obviously we have another friend, obviously. I also know your boyfriend Sam. I always have funny memories when it comes to seeing you two together. I remember the Christmas party at Sweatbox. You two cracked me up.
Why?
And Ree, I don't know, I like just your energy. Both of you are so funny. And then when we went for coffee a couple of months ago, and basically Sam and Emily already said that I was going to move in with this guy who's now my boyfriend. And they were like, something's going to happen. There's something there. And like, you, honestly, whenever you two together always crack me up. And obviously there's Ree, another friend of ours who is part of your business.
Yeah.
Who sadly for me, all the way in Cardiff now, so I don't really get to see her. She's such good energy. Like, honestly, different breed is just good energy. And, you know, really, honestly, I can just see how this is going to absolutely become amazing. But also, you're not staying in Bristol for that much longer.
No. So we went to Portugal at the start of this year. Sam actually went with a couple of friends for a month beforehand, and then I joined them because originally they were going to be traveling together for like ages, and like we hadn't met too long before that, so I was obviously never part of the plan. And then I come along, and he's like, "Do you wanna come with?" So ended up going out there for a few months, and then we came back, got a flat. And now we're going back there next month for a month, just to have like, basically it will be a bit of a holiday, but we are going to be working over there as well. And we were like, Ree's going to come out for a little bit, for like a week or so. Nice. She can't stay for long because of her little puppy, Gravy.
I know, Gravy.
Love her. So she's going to come out for like a week or so, and we're going to do like workshops and like do proper work stuff together. But
I love that.
It'll just be nice to like get out of England again in the winter time, go back to like the gym that we were at and like with the people we were with, and then next year potentially moving.
We'll
but
see.
We don't know yet. We'll see. It's literally been like the last week that we started talking about it, because we had our mums round. So for anyone who doesn't know Taryn or Sam, he's got lesbian parents. And then I've got my mum. So we had 3 mums come round for dinner the other night. And one of his mums was just like, why don't you just like move to Portugal? And we were like, I don't know.
I mean, you would come. I think you would come back to Bristol not all the time, but a reasonable amount, because a lot of your business is here and a lot of your friends are here. So, like, you know, I think you would come back every now and again. I hope you know that I'm coming to see you when you move.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm self-inviting.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like your lifestyle suits Portugal life.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Are you going to learn Portuguese?
I've started picking up little bits here and there, because Sam has lessons with Nat.
Does he?
Like,
okay.
our friend, so he has lessons with her, and then like I'm kind of just picking up bits here and there, but I know the very basics, like hello, how are you? I don't really know. Like, he made a good point of like, we don't know how to get to know someone because we can't ask like, what are you really scared of, or like, what's your favorite memory? Like, it's just like very surface level stuff at the moment.
It's interesting that you talk about that, like, that out of all questions that to get to know someone, that those 2 questions come to mind. Like, is that on a just a getting to know people anyway, or is that like how you approach getting to know your clients as well? Like,
no, not with clients, but even that, like, learning Portuguese, obviously we're not going to be fluent anytime soon, but it's like that then does open up a whole nother like, we can't have Portuguese clients that don't speak English at the minute. It's like we have to I don't know where.
But honestly, but it will like, you're already going to immerse yourself in the culture, which is the best way to learn. Like, I mean, obviously, as we know, I lived in Paris a year and a half ago, last year. Honestly, my life has been, the last year has been so crazy. But yeah, I lived in Paris for a year, and obviously I studied French and English anyway at uni, but the elevation from a year in Paris for my language is insane. So like, you immersing yourself, and actually if you're actively trying, then you'll pick it up quicker than you probably realise.
Yeah.
But
And like,
how exciting.
it is exciting, but like we always say, like it's a bit embarrassing almost, because you go to Portugal and like everyone there speaks Portuguese, they understand Spanish, they speak English, and like we're just like English only.
Yeah. No, but it's such a thing. Like I always say this to people, like how we are that typical like English, little bit ignorant to other language. Well, not necessarily on purpose, but yeah, it's hard when you go to other countries and they're like, speak English, understand multiple languages. And I'm like, when I lived in Paris, it's the same. I have quite a few Portuguese friends, or Mexican, Spanish. My boyfriend's Spanish. Most of my friends are Spanish. But they all speak multiple languages, or like, you know, or like you tend to find with Portuguese as well. Portuguese can understand Spanish quite well, but the Spanish can't really understand Portuguese.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird thing. But yeah, no, they're just so on it with languages, and you just get us.
Yeah.
Doing great. Nice. I mean, to be fair, I can't remember who this was, but I remember having a conversation with someone about how privileged we are to be born English. I know who it was. It was, I just clicked. It was Roman, which is my ex-boyfriend's sister, who I'm still very good friends with. We call like once a month and catch up. But I remember her just saying, like, you are so privileged to be born English, to not have to worry about learning another language necessarily, because you know they're probably going to speak English.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think as an English person we don't necessarily think about. Because it's a struggle.
Fala English? I know that one.
Yes!
And then they either go yeah or no, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, I can't make conversation past that.
I'm like, tu habla español? Tu habla inglés? Honestly, I just started Spanish lessons 2 weeks ago.
Oh, sick.
It's very fresh. Very fresh. And it's annoyingly every Friday. So like I have to literally finish work, and I'm a recruiter now. So my hours, I'm literally in the office at 7:15 and leave at 4:30 earliest. And then I have lessons at 5. I know it's disgusting. I have lessons at 5 on a Friday. So I'm like rushing to get the bus to this lesson. It's good. It is good. It's very fresh. Thomas, literally, I'll finish the class and be like, what did you learn today? And then he will give me like a little test of what I've learned. But it's basically because I'm planning on going to Gran Canaria to meet his family in January.
Oh.
And I was like, I've got to have a level. They do speak, most of them speak English. The elders don't. Yeah. So, yeah. Languages are fun. It's a process though. Such a process. But anyway, very exciting.
I'm going to get Duolingo just for now, so I can start picking up little bits, because I would want to do lessons with Nat as well, but I think that could be a focus for like next year.
Yeah. To be fair, I literally just followed her Instagram page. I can't remember what it is right now, but obviously, yeah. So Nat has an Instagram page. I know a Nat Fit, but I don't know her name of a language page. But she is multilingual, and she has a page that teaches Portuguese. And I think she does these little things, and she where it's like, this is how you say, "Can I pay by card, please?" And it's like really nice little reels and
like
videos.
Snippets. Yeah, I think it's easy talk with Nat.
I think you're right.
I think that's what it is.
It's really nice little like. It's her business, so she's doing really well with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, to move on. So today's topic, we're talking about body dysmorphia and binge eating. To start off with, so obviously you shared your video about your experiences. You know, so from what I remember, you kind of said that 2018, 2019 was when like it really started, like the binge eating, the being overly critical, you know, convincing yourself you gained weight overnight. And then it kind of, you went travelling, didn't you? Where was it you went again?
Australia.
No, amazing. No. Where in Australia did you go?
I stayed on the Gold Coast for the majority of the time because my auntie and uncle lived there, so I was staying with them, and then that's where I worked as well. So that was like my base. And then, because I was there for the whole year, the idea was like, save, travel a bit, go back to them, save, travel a bit. So I was on the Gold Coast and then went to like Sydney first, I think, and then back, and then Melbourne. And then my mum came over, went up to Cairns and was there for a few days. And then I did Bali for a few weeks as well.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Well, okay. Yeah. I've never been to Australia. I've so much family over there. Never been.
I think you would like it, because the way that I describe it to people, which may or may not be insulting to Australians, I don't know, but it's like a bigger, better, hotter England is the way I would describe it. Like, it feels very like familiar when I'm there, but it's just like the beaches are nicer, because like I'm from Western originally, where there's a beach, but it's like it's the same kind of feel, but it's just like like hotter, nicer. The people are nicer. Like, people are up at like 5 a.m. running on the beach, and they're like,
well, they're known. Yeah, they're known for being like on it with like healthy lifestyle, though, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just like happy and healthy. Like, it's just so nice. It's expensive, but it's like that's the only thing.
That's what I hear the most, that how expensive it is. But it is, a nice way of living. I think I
paid like £7 for a coffee once because it was a bank holiday.
They up their prices because it's a bank holiday.
Yeah. Maybe not a bank holiday, because that's a bit different for them, but it was like a public holiday where like a lot of shops were shut and stuff, but it was like like £7 or £8 for like a nice latte.
And you think the cost of living crisis is big here? I'm like the other day where I was like, I paid. Yeah. I mean, at Sweatbox, coffee is so cheap, right? Isn't it? It's good coffee as well, especially if Alex makes it. Like, it's good. But Alex or Jack, happy.
Alex made mine, I think, this morning, and put a little
she did.
Little love heart, but it's dripping, so
bless. We love Alex. It's like a community. I will just say, for people listening, Sweatbox is like a community. Like, we all kind of know each other in a way. Sweatbox, multiple people in that place got me through the worst year of my life. So honestly, I love you guys. But yeah, and the coffee's really good. And they only just upped the prices. I think it's £3 a coffee now. But it used to be £2.50, but they've upped it. Fair enough. Still one of the cheapest coffees you can get in Bristol. Like, we went to Oxford maybe 2 months ago. Me, Thomas, and his friend from Spain, and everywhere was like minimum £4 a coffee. I was like, what? Like, £4 for a coffee, and then you're just telling me about 7-8 quid on a bank holiday? No. Absolutely not.
The type of coffees that I get are always more expensive, because I always get like a non-dairy milk, and sometimes I get vanilla added in, so then it's like an extra £1.
Yeah. Just for a syrup and an oat milk.
Yeah.
The life we live. But so that sounds amazing. So Australia, but then you came back, and was it COVID when you came back? Because like, imagine being in Australia, loving life, and then lockdown.
So this is what I always say. So like, it was kind of a blessing, like not a blessing, but like it was kind of good timing in a way, because some people were like, I know, were planning to go to Australia and then couldn't because of COVID. So like, I'm still glad I got to go.
Yeah.
But it literally was like, I had the best year of my life, and I did like some really fun things. I did like a skydive, went on a jet ski.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was like hot weather, got a tan, literally came back, and then it was like, stay inside. I was just sat there like,
well, did you have a garden as well when you came back? Because obviously for me, a garden, like I had, when lockdown happened, I was at my mum's in Cambridge. The beginning of lockdown was stunning. Like, it was like March, summer weather. We were having like barbecues, desperados. Me and my family, because it was just me, my brother, my sister, my mum. We just got a puppy.
Oh.
And it was like the cutest couple of months. Like, it all seemed shit, obviously, with COVID, obviously. But, and couldn't see people. But in our own little bubble, it was weirdly, like, I don't know, nice. But we had a garden and, like, quite a big house. So, like, it was easy to spend time together, but also separate in our little rooms because we have a lounge. But I know it's not the same for everyone else. Like, what was it like in lockdown for you?
It was weird. So like, we have a garden. It's in my mum's house in Weston, And it's quite a big garden because we've got the house on the end of the street, so it's kind of like that shape in a way. So yeah, that was nice. And we've got like a cat and a rabbit that would like kind of play outside together. So I was outside quite a lot, but it was like a weird time because I was struggling with my body image a lot, and like that was kind of like my main focus point, I guess, at the time, because it was like I can either stay inside and not do anything and just feel like really bored for months, or I can have like a focus point and something to work towards. So it felt really healthy at the time to be like, I'm going to lose loads of weight whilst we're in lockdown. Like that seems really good. But then it became like every day I was like thinking about like calories and like going out for a walk and stuff. So actually, like looking back, I'm like, oh, that really wasn't very good. But like it felt okay at the time. And I also was working in care. I was a community carer. So that was the job that I was doing in COVID when like people couldn't see their families and stuff. I was like driving around to people's homes and like, giving them food, cleaning them and stuff.
Amazing.
So, and like that was a tough job in itself. It's quite a weird like time in my life in a way. It was like good and bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice that you helped people and had that human connection in such a scary time. But like you said, very hard work. Being a carer is hard. Like it's not an easy job. My mum done it for years, so I know it takes it out of you. But the fact you still help people, feel good about that. That's amazing. But obviously, I remember you saying in your videos that I think you said you were about 67. You dropped down, but then you still, weren't happy. Like you got to the weight you wanted, let's say. And I think I wrote down, so I took some notes, and I wrote down that we set an idea of what we think will look like after we've lost or gained weight we wanted to.
Yeah. No,
and it's definite. Never, very, very rarely what you think.
Yeah. This is something that I say to my clients a lot, because sometimes I'll have, and it's not always women, but typically has been women, that they'll start with me and they're like, oh yeah, I really want to get back to this weight. And I'm like, that's great, but let's work on your mindset around food first. Let's get you eating a bit more, because you've not eaten more than 1,000 calories for a few years. And then I'm like, when we start a cut and we start losing fat, we'll just see how you feel, because so many times people look incredible and they've visibly lost a load of fat and they look just like, so different. But then because they're not the goal weight, that really overshadows how they feel about stuff. And rather than being like, wow, I've achieved this and I've lost X amount and I feel really good and I'm really healthy, they're like, oh yeah, but it's not 70 kilos. And then it's like, it just takes away from all the hard work they do. So I'm always like, don't actually fixate on a number. Like, it's good to have an idea in your mind of roughly how much you want to lose, but that's more so that you can plan out the length of time that you're doing the cut for, and like when to drop calories and stuff. And like, if you're doing a competition where you have to be a certain weight by a certain date to make a weight category, that's different. But if you're doing it for like general health in day-to-day life, you shouldn't be fixating on a set number.
And it's so easy, isn't it? I think I did that for years. And I think you've done that. You've done this. You're talking to people from experience. And I think that's what people forget. Like you were saying how like you would barely eat any calories. You had no energy. I remember in your video, you were like, I was slow. Like even blinking was slow. Like you were like so sluggish in you just trying to get to a specific weight. And then because of that, you were binging.
Yeah.
You were like not eating enough calories. So then by the evening, you're like crave it. And everyone, if you haven't experienced some sort of binging, then lucky you. But I think most people have. Most people have. Like it is such like you like feel like you're in a frenzy. Like you get anything down you just because you literally need sugar.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy. The way I would describe it is almost like I black out in a way, and like I don't binge at all now, but it would be like like something comes over you and you literally can't control it, and you're just like having all of this food, and then it gets to a certain point where for me it was just like you snap out of it and I'm like, fuck, I've just eaten so much. And then it would be like all of the guilt would come, and then I'd like just go to bed and like wake up the next morning. And you know when like something really bad has happened, like the night before, you've had like an argument with a friend or something, wake up and for a second you forget, and then you're like, oh fuck. It was kind of like that. Like I'd wake up, and then it'd usually be when I would stand up, I would feel that I felt really like bloated or heavy and watery, and I'd be like, fuck, I ate so much last night. And then it would be, again, felt like it was coming from a good place. I'd be like, oh, it's fine, I won't have breakfast. And I thought I was doing it in like a really, really calculated and clever way. But again, looking back now, I'm like, I literally just like wasn't eating. And then I was like having very minimal calories at lunch. And then when I get to the evening, be like so ravenous that I'd be like, fuck it, I'll just eat more tonight and then I'll start again tomorrow. But then that kept happening.
Like a cycle. And I think the word you used as well, which I've used to talk about body dysmorphia, is disgust. Like, I feel like that's such a feeling associated with body dysmorphia and with binging. Like, you just feel there's like a self-disgust, like almost like a borderline self-loathing as well with it. Like, because you're like, why can't I control myself? Or why can't I look this way? Or why do I feel this way about myself? That you feel disgusting. And it's hard for people. I think one thing that we've both talked about before is that it is a mental health problem. It's not because of how you look. It's not a physical thing. It is actually a mental state. And I think people forget about that. And you've talked about it, I've talked about it, how everyone's like, oh, you look amazing. Oh my god, you look great, or you look great in that outfit, and you're like, oh, I look good in this outfit, like, you know, and then next day feel bloated or feel, and then you think you've changed and gained weight in a night, or like like it just fluctuates so much, but it is just mentality. And I think disgust, and it's such a horrible feeling, like, and you can't even, people that haven't really experienced it, it's so hard to describe how hard it is to switch your mentality. And I think, you know, like you talking about before, how like you got a coach, didn't you, to help to help with your calories. You had more calories, you started on your binging progress, and I think you said you cried when you got that moment of clarity.
I actually forgot I said that. That was such a weird, like, I can't really describe how it made me feel, because I was just a bit like, even now, I don't really know what to say. I've got the video somewhere and I'll be able to find it, I think, but the only way I can describe it was like seeing my body for the first time, which was really weird, because it was like, usually I'd look in the mirror and I'd be like, yeah, I do look really lean, but like I know I want to get leaner, or like I want to get my bum bigger or something. Or I would be like doing a video, and I know where this one video is, when I like had a reaction to food. So I like went to a party, had a slice of pizza, and then my stomach literally was just like it just got really bloated, had loads of pain, took hours to come down, and I was just like so upset, because I knew that like I've created issues for my body because I've been dieting for so long. Like, you shouldn't have that reaction. Like, my stomach, it wasn't even just like down here, it was like from here, it literally was just like out, and it was
next level bloated. You feel like like beer bellies. Like, that's kind of that's how I tend to describe what, because I have well, you know this, but I have IBS, so like my bloating can get triggered through stress or food, and it's like that, rock solid, like it's gonna pop, like it's pain. It is painful, and you don't know when it's gonna happen. So when it does, when you least expect it, or you're out having a good time, like you just said, or wearing a skimpy outfit, like that's when it happens, isn't it? Like, that's when it's like, oh, you having a good time? Let's ruin it. It's exactly that. But, okay, and it went from that for you.
Yeah, so I remember filming that, because I remember knowing at the time, like, this actually isn't normal, and I knew that I needed to like get out of that headspace. So like, it was either that I was filming myself for like a check-in, and then I'd be thinking like, oh, but when my bum's bigger, when I look like this, blah blah, or I'd be like upset with how I looked. Whereas this video, for the first time, I was sending it to my coach, I remember looking at myself and being like, oh, that's how I look. Like, it was just like, I don't know, it was just like clarity, and I literally was like, I looked really good, and I just like, actually loved the way I looked for the first time ever, and I literally just got so overwhelmed I started crying.
No, I mean, I feel like I had that. I think it's hard. I think I think I had that at a point where, like, in the last year, because I lost quite a bit of weight, not for positive reasons, as you know. I got out of a really quite toxic relationship, had a lot of stress with university, it all happened at the same time, and I couldn't eat, like, I couldn't sleep, typical, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, lost loads of weight, overtrained. I literally was at Sweatbox all the time because it was just keeping me sane. I also had sciatica, so I couldn't really train weightlifting. So I did a lot more Muay Thai and a lot more Cali and some basic weights. And my weight dropped quite, well, not massively, but like definitely became more athletic, to the point my family, and I understand my family like aren't very sporty or anything. So when they saw me after quite a while, they kept on saying, "Are you okay? You've lost quite a bit of weight." And I remember turning to my dad and being like, "Do I look anorexic, or is something wrong?" And he was like, "No, you just look athletic, which we're not used to." And I'm like, so me losing weight was such in that way, and for the first time I was actually so happy with my body. But on hindsight, I've gained a bit more weight now, and I've started weight training again, and I'm a little bit of a slope at the moment because I weighed myself and I regret weighing myself because I've seen a number and I'm back to the number I was when I felt overweight probably about 3 years ago. But ironically, I was talking to my boyfriend about this. He was like, "Raff, you don't look like that anymore. Like, your body composition has changed."
Yeah.
So even though you're the same weight as you were when you were overweight then, you're so much more muscular now. And it's just trying to, and I spoke to you about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago. It's just trying to change that mindset. My body doesn't look the same, and it's okay that I've gone from being more athletic to maybe more muscular build, and changing your body. I think it's one thing we've talked about is because I am hoping to the public, sign up with Emily because I want to do my first bulk this year because I want to do powerlifting comp next year. And Emily said to me, she was like, doing your first bulk will be one of the worst things, worst feelings ever, but you will understand how amazing it is that your body can change, and like you can control your changes, and it will really open your mind. And I'm really excited for that, to understand that. And that's one thing I think that's really amazing about like having that clarity and having a moment where you appreciate what you look like and having clarity. And like you said, it's like you're high on life, isn't it? Like all of a sudden you're like, "Oh shit, like I'm what?" Like after so long of feeling like crap all the time about how you look, and then finally having things that you're like, "I'm seeing my progress." And having that moment, and and even though that's changed a little bit now, it's appreciating that you can be that, you can get there, maybe with healthier options than mine. Don't break up and have a crappy relationship to do that. But, like it's trying to find things that work for you and then trying to change your mentality with it. But as we know, with body dysmorphia, like it's not as easy as that. Like,
well, I think bulking was actually a really good thing for me to get out of that mindset, because you see the scale going up, and like if you're always focusing on cutting or like staying the same weight, anytime the scale goes up, it's quite a scary thing.
It is.
Whereas actually when you start bulking, the goal is almost the exact same as a cut. You want to see the scale changing, you want to see your body changing, but it's just in the opposite direction. And like that's how I thought of it. I was like, I just need to literally treat it the same as a cut. So like if my weight's going down in a bulk, some people get really happy about that. I'm like, "Oh, I'm not gaining weight," but it's like, well, then you're not bulking correctly. Like it should be going up. You actually should see the scale increasing. And like that helped massively, because then when I wasn't bulking anymore, if I woke up and saw the scale had gone up, I was used to it, because I'm like, well, I've been aiming to do that for the last like 9 months. Whereas before that would really freak me out, because I've only ever seen the scale stay the same or go down.
No, it's exactly that. And I think that's what, like you said, that element of being able to appreciate both sides, both going up and down, and having that understanding, and having those revelation moments. Just out of interest, like for you, concerning body dysmorphia, what were the small like signs of body dysmorphia for you? Like what made you realise that you had body dysmorphia?
I was actually thinking about this morning. Every every day I would look in the mirror multiple times a day, and like that felt very normal, but like you're body checking, you're just like looking in the mirror to see if you look any different, and like I would literally look in the mirror, be like looking at my stomach, being all like this, and then I'd like walk away, and then 10 minutes later, if I walk past that same mirror, I'd be like, I'm just going to look again. And I'd be like looking from the side. I've even got a video of me looking like real skinny that I can't share because I'm topless. But I remember filming it for myself, and I'm talking to the camera and I'm saying like, oh, I just want to lose a little bit more here. And I'm like pinching my skin and like pulling it and being like, look at this. Like, and it's like, obviously like you're gripping your skin and pulling it, like it's going to look like it's loose when you're doing that.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of that where I like just actively was like scanning my body and comparing myself. But I feel like a lot of people say about like comparing yourself to other people on social media and whatnot, which like does happen. But for me, it was like comparing myself to how I looked even 10 minutes ago. It was like, yeah, every chance I had to like look back at a photo of me or look in the mirror, I would do that.
Yeah. No, it is that. I think that's what it is. Like even the NHS definition of body dysmorphia is about like having like constant like fixation on something like that not even everyone else, like anyone else would notice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it is that. I do that now all the time.
Yeah.
Do I look different? I've just eaten. What's changed? Like, you know, or like fixate on the little things.
Just a really, really good hack, like not hack, but like tip for that. It is very difficult at the start when you're like in that routine, but I made a really solid effort to be like, every time I look in the mirror, I'm going to call myself out for it, because before I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go look again, and I just like let myself do it. Whereas then I'd like go look in the mirror and be like, you're looking in the mirror again, like you don't need to do that. And I'd like walk away, and it'd be really difficult, but over time it became a lot easier, and I would like actively ignore a mirror as well, which sounds really stupid, but
but I did that. I literally, when I was at my worst, probably about when I got diagnosed, to be fair, it was probably about 2.5 years ago now, maybe 3. I used to cover my mirrors up. I was so bad, I would literally cry every time I looked in the mirror, that I would cover them up. Like I would literally like, I tried to cover up my body dysmorphia quite a lot, to be honest. Like my friends knew about it because I lived with my 2 best mates at the time. They knew about it. They knew my fixation with it, but I don't think they realised how bad it was. Like I would cry a lot. I would like, you know, or like even little things like, it's not even just mirrors, is it? I'll be walking in the street and looking into a car window, and which is the worst because they literally distort you. And then it's like little things like that.
Sat in the car and they're like, you're just now like, oh.
Like flashing, calling 911.
Weird in my car. Staring at me and chewing their stomach.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, brilliant! Yeah. Oh, don't. That reminds me. Little tangent. Once this was ages ago. I mean, like probably about 10 years ago. It was raining, and I was walking from my nan's house back to my mum's, and it's only like a 10-minute walk, and it was raining. It was dead. I had my headphones on, and I was that. Honestly, it sounds so fucking cheesy, but I was dancing in the rain in the street on the way back home. I was like, no one's here. No one's here. It's raining. I have no umbrella. Like, I was getting absolutely soaked. I was like, this kind of feels like a film moment. I'm going to dance. And I was dancing on my way home. Like, going for it, pretty sure, knowing me. And next thing you know, I just see this couple sat in the car watching me dance in the rain. And I see them, and I like nod at them, and then continue dancing, going back home. And then end of the story is they became our new neighbours.
No way. They're like, fuck, it's the crazy girl.
And I remember the first time I met them, they looked at me like, you're that girl? And I was like, yeah, hi, how are you? Like, we actually had a good relationship, to be fair. They've moved out now, but we used to have neighbour parties, and we got on really, really well. But I don't know, it just made me think of that. But yeah, no. But it is like little things like that you would just look anywhere you can.
Yeah.
And I still do that now. I try and check myself. I do. Like, it comes in, as we know, it comes in waves.
Yeah.
I'll have, like, I had the longest stint of no body dysmorphia. I think I didn't think about it for like at least about 6 months.
That's good.
Yeah. And I generally thought I maybe got rid of it. And then I dipped all of a sudden about 2 months ago. When I weighed myself. Yeah. It honestly. What? Talk to me.
Don't want to interrupt. I've got a really bad habit of just talking over people.
No,
I was
it's
going
fine.
to say, I saw this, like, wasn't really a quote, but it was just like, you know, those Instagram pages that just post a picture of writing and it's just like inspirational stuff and whatnot. I came across one before and it just said really simply, like, weighing yourself should not elicit an emotional response. And that's all it said, but that's really stuck with me. And it's something that I say to my clients a lot now, of like, regardless of whatever your reasoning for weighing yourself is, whether you're losing weight, whether you're bulking, whether, you know, doing it for health reasons, you should be able to step on the scale, look and go, okay, and then write it down and then genuinely not think about it again. So like, even with cutting, it doesn't feel like it's coming from a bad place, but like when you step on the scale and you see that you've dropped like a kilo, a lot of people then get like really, really excited about that, which feels fine in the moment, but the next day when it fluctuates, because it always does, it then again kind of takes away from like the fact that you are still losing weight. People are then like, oh, it's gone back up, whereas actually it should just be like, okay, write it down and then you work out your average.
Dissociation.
Like literally just like look at it, move on. Like it's quite like black and white approach, but that really, really worked for me. And again, at the start it's difficult because you want to think about it and you've got to be like, no, like ignore it. But like now genuinely I could gain kilos overnight and I'm like, I had a big meal, it's probably that, and I don't worry about it anymore.
No, I think it's hard. I think it's one of those things as well, isn't it? Like, I try not to. I think ironically I did it because I felt bigger than I did like a couple of months ago, but not, like I said, not in the same places. Like my legs have got musclier, and you know, and I did it, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm the same weight, or you know, but I didn't expect to gain as much weight as I did. But I think it's just I had to remind myself, like, muscle weighs more than that, and you know, but also the female body is insane. Our water retention, our periods, how much are like, I read that like a woman, I can't fully remember how much, annoyingly, and I read it in like Women's Health, but like our body can add, like during our period or our cycle coming up to our period, our water retention can be so high that you can gain like a couple of kg and lose it after your period, but just literally like 2 or 3 kg just because you're on your period alone.
Yeah, that's like a really normal fluctuation.
Insane.
That's why, like, any time if someone wakes up and then like they weigh themselves and they're like a few kilos heavier overnight, there's genuinely no physical way that you can have gained that amount of fat in a night, even if you had a binge and you went way over your calories. So much of that is going to be the actual volume of the food, the water retention, the salt. Like if you're gaining kilos overnight, it's like, it's not fat.
No,
it's not like,
and it's like you said though, like one of the things that kind of stuck with me that you said was, look at your wrists, your neck, your knees, you know, look at these things that if you actually really visibly gain weight, those would change. And that's what you told me, and that actually really stuck with me as well. Like, you would know if you gain loads of weight because you'll see it.
Yeah.
You know, you literally see it in the places where that are important. Like, you know, your knees, you walk with, you know, they're a really important part of our body to help us move. Like, you know, you would feel the difference when you're walking. You would feel heavier. You would see it. They'll be swollen. And it's remembering that. Like, my wrists are still as big or small as they were before. And, you know,
I think people forget you gain fat everywhere. Like, people get very fixated on their stomach. But I think I actually did a post about this when I was sat in my car.
You did. You did.
But like, your stomach and like your, not just your stomach, but like your midsection, that's where like literally everything happens. Like, if you've had a big meal, it's going to show there. If you're bloated, if you've had loads of salt, like if you're on your period, all of that translates to this midsection. But if you're overweight, like obviously there's nothing wrong with being a little bit overweight, but it's like typically overweight people will have like rolls around their knees, and they're like saying their ankles are swollen, they've got like fat on their forearms. So it's like if you're waking up and feeling really fat and looking in the mirror and being like, yeah, my stomach's really bloated, it's like, well, you haven't actually gained a load of fat, because you should have a double chin. You should, do you know what I mean? You should have it everywhere.
No, exactly that. I think another thing you told me as well, again, I'm regurgitating all of your advice to the public that you told me. And I loved this one because we both do are quite creative in other ways. So we both dance, and believe me, this girl can move. Like, I honestly, if you see her Instagram, she can dance. And we both have like dancing. Well, I grew up dancing, and if I get a chance, great. But I remember you telling me, if you feel like you're bloated or feel like crap about yourself, put something sexy on.
Yes.
You were like, you were like, if you feel bloated, still wear the sexy outfit you were going to wear. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, yeah, you know what? Because I am that person, like, I love underwear. You know, everyone has their things that they buy. Whether it be shoes, bags, gym clothes. Gym clothes is one of them. But I love buying underwear just because it makes you feel, for no one else but me, it makes you feel good. No matter how you feel about like your body at that time, wearing a nice set of underwear makes me feel like $1 million. So like when you said that to me, I was like, yeah, okay, I can do that. Let's even if I feel bloated, I'm gonna wear it anyway.
Yeah. Because you know, when like people are hungover, or even if they just like feel like shit, they tend to put on something like this where it's like really baggy. They'll wear joggers, they won't bother with their makeup, their hair's a mess, and they just like have a bit of like a day where they're just like lounging around. That's fine, but that does tend to make you feel a bit more like shit anyway. So like if you're having a really, really bad body image day and then you wear loads of baggy clothes and like don't make effort, it does almost like exemplify, is that the right way to say that? Exemplify how you're feeling. And like I found that I made myself feel more sorry for myself when I would like lounge around, have baggy clothes, I'm like, oh, I just feel like shit. Whereas like actually like, and also you hold yourself differently when you wear different clothes. Like if you're in baggy clothes, you can just lounge around and be all like, whereas usually if you're wearing like a nice dress and whatnot, you'll be like, you'll stand up a bit taller, you'll like feel really good, and like that does affect the way that you view your body with like how you actually physically stand or sit.
I massively agree with that too. But I think this is also, we're talking about body dysmorphia in a gym setting and sporty people, which is all well and good, because a lot of body dysmorphia does come from the gym. Like it is very much associated with that. Like it's not just women as well, it is men. Like there are such thing as muscle dysmorphia, like guys being muscular but not feeling like they're still tiny, or like it is mostly women. Like stats say that it's mostly women, but men definitely get it too. And it is associated with the gym kind of atmosphere. It's not a negative thing in that sense. I think it's just it's part of it. But there are also, body dysmorphia does come from other places as well. Like it isn't just people that are sporty like us. I had body dysmorphia probably before I got into the gym. But it is like you said, don't you tend to find that the people aren't really happy with how they look anyway, most of the time forget to put effort in with making themselves feel good with just what they're wearing.
Yeah,
they will just wear joggers, they will just lounge about because they feel so low. And bless, my sister just wrote a poem about this, about feeling listless and feeling like, you know, but I know my sister's absolutely fucking stunning. She is absolutely stunning. And she puts effort and she does her hair and she looks great, but she also knows she'll just put joggers on and be like, oh, like, and not put effort in and then feel worse.
Because it's like when you don't wear makeup or do your hair, if you look in the mirror, even if you don't mean it in like a really horrible way to yourself, like I sometimes like, oh, I look like shit, and like I don't actually hate myself. I like my face most of the time, but like sometimes if I haven't got makeup on and I look really tired and I've been a bit stressed, like if I catch myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh, I look a bit shit today, but like that's fine. But like even that is a very little thing, but it does add into it. So like, yeah, if you find that you get body dysmorphia and it's like, maybe you do fixate on your face, you think your face looks really puffy or something, like put makeup on. Just put
And
makeup
that's
on
the
and
thing.
just see how you feel.
Exactly, and I will just highlight for the public, body dysmorphia isn't just about, in our case, we have it more with our stomach and how we look, but it can be hair, it can be skin, it can be anything associated with your body that you fixate on.
And even like feeling too small as well. I think people forget that it's not just that you think you're fat. Like you can actually be really, really lean, really ripped, and then it's like bodybuilders. Like they'll do bodybuilding shows, and like obviously that is a lot more extreme. And it needs to be like an extreme diet and whatnot. But it's like a lot of people really struggle after that because like they don't actually see themselves for how they look. They think they're too small, or
Well, I think it's like you can think you're smaller, or you can think you're bigger, or like even with being muscular. I also think as well, like I feel like it's always a misconception with looking muscular as a woman as well. I think there's a lot of people feel like they can make a lot of comments on that. I find. I remember my mum, bless her, love you mum, but my mum and my nan was like, don't get any bigger, muscular than you are. I was like, why? Like, they're like, oh, because otherwise you're going to look too masculine. And I was like, I understand, like, it's not their fault. Like, it's also not their lifestyle and they haven't grown up. We're in a society that loves strength and, loves that kind of, much more open-minded on body types, I find. But was interesting in that, like, wow, okay.
Stuff like that is actually really difficult as well because like if you struggle with your eating or your body image and whatnot, a lot of people can't talk to their family about it because they don't get it.
I can't.
And the comment of like, not even from family, but from I've had it again with like female younger clients of like, oh, I want to just get toned, I don't want to get muscly. And I'm like, well, being toned is like having enough muscle and not having much fat, but like, minimal body fat percentage so that you can actually see that muscle definition. Like that is what being toned is. It's not an actual difference in terms of like how big the muscle gets or how bulky it is. And I think people don't realize how intensely accurate you have to be with everything every day for years to get to a stage where you actually look bulky. Like the people that they're comparing themselves to, if we think of like professional bodybuilders, they've been doing it for years. Their sleep routine like will not budge. They have the exact same amount of carb grams per day. They measure their salt. Like you have to be so intense like you cannot go off track. And they're usually on steroids. And like even with the steroids, they've been doing it for years. Like for you to go into the gym for a month and eat a little bit more and train, you're not suddenly going to look like really masculine jawline and like massive muscles.
But I don't know about you, but I feel like what I want has changed anyway. Initially, when I started joining the gym, I just wanted to be small, right? Because I grew up as a fat kid.
Sorry.
I was a fat kid growing up, so for me, it was just an issue about losing weight. I didn't want to be the duff, as we call it. I didn't want to be the fat one in the group because that's what I was. And even then, I wasn't fat, like when you think about it, but I was the biggest one in our group at school. So for me, it was just being skinny. And now I'm like, my traps aren't big enough. But ironically, but also, I feel like what I want in my body changes where I am. Like when I'm in the gym and have my sport clothes on, I want to look muscly. Like I'm happy with like having musclier arms and thick thighs and but then it'll be like summer and I want to wear a cute summer dress. And I'm like, oh, my arms look big now. And it's like I'm trying to get out of that. Like it's okay to look muscly still, even though you're not in the gym. Do you know what I mean? Like I kind of trying to stick to what I really want and my own goals and trying to think bodies change. It's okay, and I do want to lift heavier, and I do want to do a powerlifting comp, and it's just trying to think of things like that. But Yeah, I think, but also as I've discussed with family, and as you know, like we've all had it with like friends or family, like make comments, and it's because it's not out because they love us, they want to support us, but it's like sometimes it kind of gets into your head,
Yeah,
which
I
doesn't
actually
help
remember
dysmorphia.
what you were saying about the like being the fat one in the group. It just like triggered a memory for me because I started working at a gym when I was like 16, 17, but I was working in the cafe. And funnily enough, that was when I gained weight because it was the first ever job that I had where I was like left to my own devices and like I was not in charge of the cafe, but there were some days where the manager wasn't in and like I was the one to open up and put all the food out and stuff. And what would happen at the end of a shift, same to like what happens at a sweatbox with like the croissants and stuff. If things were going out of date, it's like you either throw it away or you can take it home. So because this was when I was like, you know, trying to get into fitness and like again left alone in a cafe, I started like just basically eating loads of the cakes. And I would have like I'd have like a blueberry muffin and then a red velvet cake and then the panini that was left over and like just like easily eat all of that like in a shift. But then around that time I went on a night out and you know you have like the club photographers when you go out in the club.
Yeah, I hate them.
I was wearing a dress that like wasn't super tight, but it was like tight enough. And I was obviously drunk in the photo, but the next day when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I've actually put on like a lot of weight because I was leant over like this, but like my arm looked really big from what I thought, and I had like you could see the rolls under my dress. And that was when I was like, I'm gonna start losing weight, and that was when I was 16. And then from there was when like the binging started, the body dysmorphia, like it was just not good. And nothing against them, but like looking back at the people that I worked with, because I was friends with so many of the PTs there, I'm really annoyed at all of them for not picking up on the fact that I was struggling, because I lost weight really, really quickly. And I remember having lunch once, and I was speaking to Sam about this yesterday. I was having lunch once in the cafe, and one of the PTs came and sat down with me, and I opened my tub of my lunch, and it literally was like ice gem lettuce that was torn up and tuna. And there was no rice, there was no potatoes, there was no other bits of salad, there was no mayo or sauce. It was just lettuce and dry tuna. And he was like, "Is that your lunch?" And I was like, "Yeah." And like that was it. But if that happened to me now, where like I was the PT and there was a 16-year-old girl sat in front of me and she'd lost loads of weight, I would have been like, what's going on? And like, even just like, I'm kind of going on a tangent now, but even just language as well, like being careful what you say around some people, because again, one of the PTs there, we were talking about like peanut butter or something, because there was some out in the cafe, and he was like, "You need to be careful with peanut butter though, because it contains loads of fat." And like, it does. It does contain loads of fat, but like he understood that from a personal training point of view of like, fat is still good for you and you need it in your diet, and like you can have a small amount, all this stuff. Whereas to me, not knowing anything about diet or macros or calories, was like, fuck, it contains fat. And then I didn't eat peanut butter for months after that.
That's like, I'm obsessed with peanut butter. I could eat it like it's ice cream.
I actually can't have it anymore because Sam's allergic to peanuts.
Is he? Sam?
Yeah, like,
oh my God,
like, will die if he has one.
Yeah, bless him. All right, okay, fair enough. But yeah,
so that's kind of where things started, and I'm like, looking back, I am a bit annoyed. And there was also another PT that I actually remember thinking at the time, like I was really panicking, because she asked how many calories I was on, and I said 1,900, which isn't a lot. And she literally went, like, I remember this so clear. She was like, "That's really high." And like, that was her reaction. And again, after that, I was like, oh, fuck. I went home, went on my fitness pal and dropped it to like 1,500 or something. And like, even now, for me dieting, I don't go to 1,900. Like, I cut on over 2,000, and that's me losing weight. And now, like, looking back, I'm like, you were you're a qualified personal trainer. Like, you would have people that struggle with like eating disorders or their body image and whatnot. You shouldn't go around saying like, "No, 1,900. Are you sure?" Like, So that place kind of messed me up. I won't lie.
There was a lot I think it's hard. It's such a hard thing. I agree with you. If I saw that, I'd be like, I remember even speaking to my god sister. So my god sister's getting married next year. Can't wait. I'm a bridesmaid. And they came to Bristol for we went wedding dress shopping, drinks, you know, it was really lovely. And they saw my apartment and, you know, I had a really lovely weekend. But I remember she just tried some dresses on. And then we went to the cafe, went to Dare Shack. And Dare Shack, you know, like not it's on Wine Street. Like it's like if you go towards like Cabot, like Broadmead Cabot, it's like right opposite Castle Park. There's like an all black. You'll like it in there, to be fair. It's your vibe.
I was thinking of somewhere on North Street.
Oh no. Oh.
Don't know.
There is something Shack on North Street.
Also,
but you like Dare Shack.
If anyone's watching this, not listening, this isn't a beer. I'm not drinking a beer at 11 a.m. It's a kombucha, okay?
Literally the first thing you did when we came onto the chat, guys, she was like, look at my kombucha. And I was like, she's like, it looks like beer. I was like, it does. Really made me laugh.
It's a massive beer glass and it had foam on top, but didn't want you guys thinking, you're like, I'm
not an alcoholic.
Mental health is great and I'm here chucking beer.
Honestly, no, you're fine, babe. Love that.
But yeah, anyway, Nuffield Health
happens.
Don't like you.
No, fair. Overpriced. Definitely. Like, you know, honestly, I've heard the same thing. But it's all about negativity. Or like, again, like my god sister was like, oh, I'm just gonna have coffee. I'm only gonna have one meal a day, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
She was like, what? I actually got quite angry at her. And she was a bit taken back, and I was like, I'm not doing this to be aggressive or anything. I wasn't aggressive, but I was like, I love you. This is not a healthy, sustainable way to lose fat or weight.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, honestly, she was, oh, calorie deficit, blah, blah, blah. And she was trying to go back on it. And I was just like, honestly, I was so angry at her. Not in a horrible, in a protective way. In like I've been through what you're going through. Like, you want to lose weight, I get it. You need to find a sport that you like or just move more.
Mm-hmm.
And like, our basic calories for a woman is 2,000. Like, I understand you want to be in a deficit.
This annoys me so much, the 2,000.
This is why I did the 2,000 with people that can't see me. I did the fingers, like the 2,000.
Quotation.
Yeah.
It annoys me whenever, because there are some cafes, like I think Costa have it, where they've got all of their cakes out, and then in the corner they've got a sticker that's like, recommended intake is 2,000.
I think they have to, legally, they have to, places have to have it,
But, like, obviously that's there for a reason, but it's like, that, for me, is so outdated, because it's been like that for years. It's what you're taught in school, and I think it's also why a lot of people think that they should have about 2,000 calories for their maintenance. Like, when I say, like, how much are you having, they're like, oh, 2,000? And I'm like, that's actually really low. Like, if you're training, you should be, like, obviously everyone's different. If you're, like, a really, really small frame, petite person, naturally you're really short in height. If you're, like, 5 foot something and you're really, really small, like, obviously you're not going to have, like, 2.5, 3K as your maintenance. Maybe you would, but, like, 2,000 for the general population when they're training is actually very low.
Yeah.
And that's something I really... If I had millions of followers, I would put a petition up straight away to be like, get the government to change the guidelines, or at least make it clear of like 2,000. However, if you're active, this is what we'd recommend, and then like push them up more, because some people fixate so much on the 2,000 calorie mark.
You know, another thing that people fixate on because of what I think it's government guidelines. They say that you should do 10,000 steps a day.
Yes, I'm just going to charge my phone quickly.
Right, so full of shit. Like, Women's Health did it. They did a study on this. They made one of the people work there do 10,000 steps a day. And it was like, so I do that anyway, to be honest with you, because I walk everywhere. I don't drive, but I also now have a very stationary job, but I walk to work, I walk back from work, I walk to gym. I probably do an average about 12 to 13,000 steps a day. Yeah, but that's very normal for me. For an average person who drives or whatever, or you know, I think the average is more like 5,000 or 3,000 to 5,000. And they did a study, and they said that 3,000 to 5,000 is actually still healthy. But people fixate on like, but my fitness pal's one of them. Reach your 10,000 steps a day and gain more calories that you can eat.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense when they do that, because then you're not in a deficit.
No, but it's exactly it, isn't it? Like, that frustrates me. And I remember reading this study that Women's Health did, and like it was just like, yeah, like it's crazy. And then this woman was like, I did 10,000 steps a day, and I was so depleted. Like, I was just so, if it's not what you're used to, or like your life, or trying to fit that in, it's just a lot, isn't it? And like,
yeah, and like 10,000 steps is actually a lot if you have a very sedentary job, because I remember before, like with the job that I do, like I do sit down for the majority of my day because I'm always on my phone or my laptop. And like if I wanted to hit 10,000 steps, I'd have to walk a solid hour and a half.
It
like,
takes
straight.
a chunk out of your day when you're busy. Like, obviously I walk to work now and it's fine, but if you're busy,
how
are you going to fit that in, you know? I think it's just, people just need to remember the basic things of being healthy, or like drink a lot of water.
It's actually exhausting.
But just drink enough water. Yes, move of some kind, you know, please move. Like, you know, that's just, we are human, we have these things for a reason. Like, move, it's healthy. And I remember listening to a podcast.
I don't want to interrupt, but I tried to find my charger and I can't find it. I think Sam's got it and he's gone out, so I've only got 10% left on my phone.
That's fine, babe. Noted. We'll be done soon. But yeah, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I can't remember what it might have been a James Smith podcast or something, but it's like, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your future. You're going to have kids, and even if you don't want kids, you're going to be an older person, and why wouldn't you want to be able to do things for yourself and people even when you're older?
Yep.
I want to be able to be in my 60s and being able to live my grandkids easily. There's an advert, I think there's an advert of a kid, an old man, training to lift his granddaughter up to put a star on the tree.
On the Christmas tree, I've seen that.
So cute. And it's things like that, like, you want to be able to do these things for just your health and for people around you. Like, I'm not asking for 10,000 steps a day, be a weightlifter or do a triathlon, you know, or like, you know, but just be healthy. Eat that cheesecake if you want it, but don't eat 10 of them. Like, you know, like, don't binge. Like,
I saw a really good, that Christmas tree thing, and then you saying that has reminded me of, I saw a really good Instagram video the other day of a girl that had a coffee and she like spilt a bit on the table, and then rather than cleaning it up, she just went and tipped the whole thing out. And then she did it with like other stuff and was like, this is you when you're like throwing your diet in because you've had a bad day. And it's so true, because I saw a quote similar to that of like, if you knocked one of your teeth out by accident, you wouldn't pull the rest out. You'd go to a dentist and you'd sort the issue. But like, some people will like have like a, what they think is, again, quotations, bad day, and then because of that be like, well, I'm just going to eat loads of sweets and I'm not going to train. And then it's like, well, actually, like, you're making yourself feel worse when you could just acknowledge that you've had something you maybe weren't planning on, crack on with the rest of your day, and then like everything will be fine.
At the end of the day, it's about consistency. If you're really, really feeling so tired that it's going to be an injury to you, fair. But if going to the session when you didn't feel like it, you know, like, and you'll feel so much better for it. You know, and it's little things like that. For sure.
And even like the longevity side of it as well. Like that guy training to pick up his grandchild is really
cute.
That's something that I've really thought about this year, because I was always training for aesthetics and strength. Like, my main focus was just like get really strong at powerlifting, look good. Whereas like now, since meeting Sam and people at Sweatbox, like I didn't even realise how big the Cali scene was, or like I didn't really understand. My world was bodybuilding and powerlifting, and I worked in a powerlifting gym. So like going to Sweatbox and then meeting all these new people has really opened up like my eyes to stuff.
Diversity in sport and what you can do with each thing.
And like how good it makes you feel for like the longevity side of things, because so many people just assume like you just get old, that's how life is, and it's like, no, that's how it used to be. But like, actually you don't need to be walking around like hunched over and you can't get off your chair. Like, if you eat well and you strength train properly, you can actually like have a decent life.
Exactly. It's exactly like, or it's like, I remember talking to Sam about this actually, how people happily invest a couple £100 a week in going drinking.
Investment.
They invest in alcohol. But they won't pay for therapy or a PT.
No. And this is something I found actually with the online coaching side of things, is that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I might just get an in-person PT instead. And I'm like, well, you could do that, but you're seeing them for an hour once a week, and then you have to do everything else yourself. Like, if you don't turn up to training, if you don't know like how to eat or whatever, it's very much on you. Whereas like with an online coach, you've got someone there every day if you want them to help you. You've got a plan that you can follow. You've got nutrition that you can follow. Like, but it works out. It's more the money side of things. Like, people don't want to, like you said, people don't want to invest in it.
No.
But it's like, especially in Bristol, you could be paying like £50-60 for an hour session. So within a month, you're spending £200 on 4 hours with someone. Whereas you could spend that, or maybe a little bit more, and get way more for it and get way more out of it as well. People don't think of it. They're like, oh, in person's cheaper. And it's like, well, yeah, but you're not going to get the results.
Yeah, I understand it. I think there are pros and cons on there. I understand it if you don't have confidence in the gym, you want to check your form and have someone there. It depends on your learning style. So I get it at the beginning, maybe. And my brother had that a lot. My brother's a strength and conditioning coach. He had quite a few people that just needed confidence to start.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing with PTs. PTs, you should be wanting to give the people the confidence to go off alone after you.
Yeah.
It's not about, if you want them to stay with you, because just talking about PT is not about, a goal, but if you want them to stay with you, then you're not really teaching them to grow and progress themselves. You know what I mean? It's about, you are the stepping stone to being a better person, a healthier person, and to learn.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of thing as well. Anyway, I know I have to go, so I have 2 questions to ask you. We kind of covered some that people are sent in anyway, but there's 2 that I thought were good, and so just kind of a little snapshot of it. So one was, we kind of discussed a few, so it's okay to kind of repeat it a little bit, but what are your top things for countering bad body image or dysmorphia, especially in long term? Like, what are your top things, would you say?
Don't check the mirrors and like actively call yourself out when you're doing it, because otherwise that behavior won't change. Like, it's if you go and look in the mirror, just be like, I'm looking again, and like make yourself walk away. Wear good clothes that make you feel nice as well. And speak to people about it, because I didn't speak to anyone about it for a really long time, and it was only when my binging got really bad that I then like opened up about like everything that had been going on. So I think speak to people, because like you were saying earlier, a lot of people don't understand. And I also think with like binge eating and stuff, it very much links into body dysmorphia. A lot of people that struggle with how they look will then reach for food for like comfort, and then it is this big cycle. You don't have to be anorexic to have an issue with food.
No.
Like, it can go the other way, where you're eating too much or like have that loss of control. So speak to people about it.
I like that a lot. Amazing. I mean, we are a page about opening up, so perfect.
Also, my phone is on 4%.
Okay, one more question. How do you deal with non-linear progress? Because someone said it's so easy to have one bad day and worry you've ruined it. So how would you deal with that kind of?
Yeah. So that's like that fuck it mindset, where you're just like all in, yes or no. Honestly, think of it like that coffee cup. Like, if you spilt a bit of coffee, or if you, I don't know, like if you spilt a bit of coffee, or if you injured a little bit on your leg, you would think like, I'm going to cover that with a plaster, or I'm going to clean that up. You wouldn't then think, well, fuck it, I'm going to throw the rest, or I'm going to break the rest of my leg. Like, you do just kind of like acknowledge it and move on. So that is the one thing I would say, which is really simple, but is really hard to start. But literally just be like, that was shit, made me feel like shit, but it's happened now. And like, just try as hard as you can to move on with the rest of your day, because the more that you feed into it, the harder it gets.
Amazing. Okay, Emily, you are amazing. I've loved interviewing you.
Yay.
Please, what's your Instagram? Like, how do we get in contact with you? Like, pitch yourself.
Pitch myself. So my Instagram is Emily CB Fit. And That's
different
the
breed.
only way to reach me,
Yeah.
to be honest, is on Instagram. And if you do message me, I'll probably take a few weeks to reply.
Oh,
I'm
awful. But she is definitely worth the message, I assure you. Thank you so much for coming on. Always love speaking to you. And I'll see you in the next drawing thing we do at Tobacco Factory.
Oh
Not
yeah,
before.
wait. Let me show my drawing really quick.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I will just tell everyone that can't see. It's an alien. We went to a drawing thing with Annabelle, a friend of ours, and this is what she drew. It's an alien in a spaceship with a snail on.
So it's cracked the spaceship. He's fucking off. He's jumped out.
Another alien. Yeah.
He said,
What's it say?
No, he's cracked spaceship Chinampa, which is the name of the spaceship. So
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing skills. Anyway, I love you lots, babe.
Actually, one more bit of advice I would say.
Yeah.
If you are creative and you struggle with like talking about how you feel, it sounds a bit like silly, but honestly just draw. Like get a piece of paper and just start drawing, because I drew someone the other day that was like an angry man on fire and he was sinking into a sand pit.
I love it. And did you feel better after?
I did. I was like, that's how I feel right now. And Sam was like, great.
Frame it. Anyway, always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. And yes, loads of love. You've disappeared. But yes, I will speak to you soon, babe. Thank you very much. Happy sadders. And I will see you soon. Have a good day.